Welcome to Dream Small. I'm Jason.
And I'm Whitney.
In a world challenging you to chase big, we dare you to dream small.
We're a family of 8 who's fostered, adopted, and stumbled our way through learning that small, everyday choices can change lives.
Join us as we share stories and encouragement to help you live out your purpose. All right, we've had an eventful past 24 hours.
Hi, guys.
For the first time, well, not the first time, in a long time, in back-to-back days, Whitney and I each had time alone. And the way we took our time alone is quite telling. I met a good friend at Mexican for dinner and a beer. And then this morning, Whitney got the morning kind of herself because she rarely gets any time for herself. And
Whitney might have lost her mind a little last night, too.
We weren't going to talk about that, but she decided to, what she did, I met with a good friend and had dinner. She just went to the gym and sat with strangers, sweating her butt off in a sauna for 30 minutes.
Probably closer to 40. We were having a really great conversation.
Yeah. And then she discovered the wonderful world of Rural King.
Rural King. Well, I hit the farmer's market, too.
Well, that's pretty normal.
No, it was just great. I'm just talking about my morning. Hit the farmer's market, went to Rural King. I can't even say it. Rural King.
Rural King. Yeah. The more you're with me, the more country you get, I feel like.
And you know what? We went back a second time to Rural King today, too. I took the big kids.
Got a call on the way for her taking our 2 bigs. And can we get a baby chick? And we live in a development that has an HOA. Of course, they're grumpy. And so, no, we can't have a baby chick. That's okay.
Anyway.
Moving on. All
Welcome.
right. We're going to talk today about how we landed on foster care and the process to our first placement.
Yeah, Jason, how did we land on foster care?
So, first time I can remember in my life ever having a moment of foster care, adoption, something like that was, I think in middle school, I felt a call that I was going to adopt a kid someday. I was very pro-life, and my mindset was always, hey, if I'm pro-life, I should do something to impact that world. And I think I told you when we were dating that I wanted to adopt someday, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that conversation at all?
I do. You didn't know what it would look like or if it would be international or not, but you wanted to adopt. And it's funny because you had this clear picture of that. And I look back at my childhood and adulthood, and most women have an idea of what their ideal family would look like. How many children, that kind of deal. And I never had a clear vision or picture in my head of how many children I would have any day. And I think now I know why.
Well,
it was very ambiguous.
And let's be honest, your personality isn't necessarily one for long-term vision.
Well, that's true.
It makes sense. So,
yeah.
So, I mean, that's how we kind of started. Even before we got married, we talked about it. And then, and kind of fast forward a couple of years, in December of 2016, we found out we were pregnant, and very quickly afterwards, we found out we had lost our baby. We had started to talk about potentially fostering even before that, casually, didn't we? Or was it all after that?
I think it was mainly after that. I mean, that pregnancy came up pretty quickly after having our second.
Yeah.
So I think it was pretty much after our loss that we wanted to do something good with it, right?
Yeah, we weren't going to settle for just having a loss. We were going to do something positive from it.
Yeah, and that miscarriage, I mean, the emotional grief that it causes, to anyone else that's had one, I'm sorry, because we know how it feels. And not only did we feel like we couldn't go through that again, physically, the physical toll it took on my body, and I can't even remember what it was, but there were certain numbers, like I had to have a lot of blood work done afterwards.
We had to be very careful not to become pregnant within a certain timeline after that, because it was I forget the medical terminology.
I can't remember either, but it was pretty dicey and pretty scary.
Yeah.
So we just felt like, okay, we're done having biological children, and Jason always wanted to adopt. And my first job out of college actually was a DCS worker. I was an intake caseworker, which means I investigated claims of child abuse and neglect. So I had some exposure to the child welfare system years ago. So I knew relatively the need that was there. So I said to Jason, I said, I know that private adoption is very expensive. I also know there's a huge need without having to go through private adoption. So why don't we just foster, and God's going to do what God's going to do. So whether or not we have forever children in our home, we'll be making a really big difference.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember the specifics. I do know, because I'm going to brag on me, it is if you talk to most foster families, they say, hey, how'd you get here? And the wife led it and blah, blah, blah. I will say that I'm the one that kind of pushed us there. I will say Whitney did most of the heavy lifting and the legwork.
I was going to say, you pushed us there, but I did all that paperwork, dude.
Yeah, you did all the paperwork.
It was a massive stack.
Which I guess we can talk about now is just how awful the process is. I mean, it's not awful, but it is tedious. It is long. If you have any apprehension of opening your life to people, it can feel very invasive.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, there's a stack of paperwork, but you're literally getting licensed to be a parent, right? A lot of us become parents without getting licensed. It just happens. Here's a baby. Good luck. Congratulations.
Well, I mean, Bye. It doesn't exactly happen that way.
You know what I mean. Yeah. Like when you leave the hospital, though.
I mean, I'll be honest. When Whitney and I were going through the requirements of being a foster parent, we did not realize what crappy normal parents we were. Because, I mean, we were missing fire extinguishers and ladders. And
a second-story fire ladder, carbon monoxide detectors.
We had to get a buoy for our pool in the backyard that backs up to a pond. You know, we didn't have any. We have a fence. So, I mean,
we thought we were good parents.
We love our kids.
Yeah, but we just had to take a little, drop a couple extra $100 at Home Depot, and now we're really good parents.
Yeah, I mean, and the way the state looks at it is we are basically a licensed child care facility, right? That's the way the government and the state looks at it. So it makes sense why you would have to do all that. It doesn't make it any less not fun, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are just safety measures that we hadn't thought of for one reason or another.
Well, we probably thought of it. We just didn't have to do it, right? So we did other stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else about the lead up to becoming licensed that?
It really wasn't terrible. I mean, for us personally, it took a while. So that first conversation about becoming foster parents, I found out how much paperwork was involved. I met with a couple people because you did have to decide whether or not you want to get licensed through the state or through a private agency. And so I had a couple conversations with people to kind of figure out which way we wanted to go. And like Jason said, I did do all the heavy lifting. I did all of this, but then I got the paperwork, and that was so daunting. It sat on our kitchen counter for months. I don't know, like maybe 5 months. And then one day I was literally out running through our neighborhood. And
she was exercising. She just wasn't running from bears or anything. She was exercising when you could, because we only had 2 kids.
Yeah, wasn't that bad, right? But I was jogging. I mean, let's be honest. I was jogging through our neighborhood, and I actually ran past a sign that said "Become a foster parent." I was like, "Okay, God, I see it. I get it. Fine, we got to do it." Like, he literally showed me a sign. So I got home that day and I was like, Jason, we have to do this paperwork. I need to carve out time right now. We need to get this submitted. We need to get going. So we did all of that. I think we officially started that process in January. And we had to do some classes, had to do the home study. The home study questions can be pretty invasive if you're a private person. They didn't bother either of us, but we're actually open books. So it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, Whitney's an open book, and my life has been pretty boring, so it was pretty simple. I mean, it was, I would, real quick, sidetrack anybody considering foster care. If you're a brand new foster parent, I would 1,000%, when you're first starting out, go with an agency, just so you have that little bit of additional layer of support. As you become a veteran, you can go straight DCS. Yeah. But in our experiences, I think we would both agree, find a good licensing agency to start with, at least as you get going.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually ping-ponged back and forth over the past 7 years, so that actually might be a whole different episode, really probably tailored to people that are interested in learning about it.
Yeah, it would make sense to get into details for that. It might not be for everybody, but yeah, for sure. So I think that's the lead up. So in my brain, I've always thought we got licensed on April 14th. I actually looked up the date. It was actually Friday, April 13th is when we got licensed. Friday the 13th.
How about that? I never knew that.
So I'll let Whitney take it from her angle, and then I'll share my angle of how that day went.
So we're, 4 months in at this point? to the licensing process. We have everything done. We are just waiting to get that call that you've been approved, you're officially licensed. So apparently on Friday, I knew it was a Friday, but on April 13th, around 2 o'clock that afternoon, I get a phone call. And I'm at home, I'm a stay-at-home mom at this point. I get the phone call from our agency. They say, guess what? Your license is approved. I was like, okay, great. They're like, you should start getting phone calls anytime now. I was like, okay, let's do this. 4 o'clock, my phone rings again. Same day. 2 hours later, my phone rang again, and it was our agency again, and they said, are you ready?
And the answer is no. Just so everybody's very clear, you're never ready for what we were stepping into.
No.
Like you don't. It's kind of like those folks that are like, yeah, we want to have kids, and we're just not sure we're ready. The answer is you're never actually ready.
Mm-hmm.
A quote I want to share I found was, God doesn't ask us to be ready; He just asks us to be willing. And
yeah.
That was no more true here. And I mean, on my end, I was at work. Whit sends me a text at 2. Hey, we're licensed. Woohoo! Call at 4. Hey, you ready for this? No. And then we're going to, as we tell you our journeys, we're going to number our kiddos to protect their privacy. So number 1 showed up.
Yeah. So an hour later, number 1 pulls up. Well, first of all, they had the wrong address. So they went to the wrong house.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They went to a completely different road in our neighborhood. So they were close, but it took a minute. But she shows up and she's not in the right car seat, which is a big thing for me. But yeah, she came with, I'm trying to remember if she had anything. I don't think. She had a trash bag of really yucky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had a trash bag of really yucky stuff that went into our garage and stayed in our garage.
I think we washed it for them.
I think we washed it and put it back in the garage.
Yeah. I think
we never actually used it. So we jumped right in. And this placement was a challenge in many ways. It broke my heart in every single placement, as you'll hear down the road, has broken my heart in a different way. And my prayer is, God, break my heart for what breaks yours. And these stories, their trauma, she was young. She wasn't even 2.
She was 16.
Well, I wasn't going to give specifics. But yeah, she was just a toddler, a baby toddler, right? And she would pull her hair out when Jason went to get her out of a crib.
Hold on. Let me tell you that story from my angle. So, it was a weekend. Our church every spring does this event called Pack Away Hunger. Our church has a big gym attached and an organization. We build basically meals to go for, I think we've been sending primarily to Cuba recently. I'm not sure when they were going there, but we were scheduled to work. And of course, we got this little number 1 came to us. What do we do? I said, wait, you got to take the kids and go. And I stayed home. Well, so, for those of us who've never exposed to trauma kids, it's an incredibly eye-opening experience. We put her to bed, didn't cry, didn't fuss, lay down, went to bed. That was weird, right? That's weird for a kid to do in a stranger's home. Super weird. It's like 10 or 11 the next morning. I'm like checking the monitor and, I'm kind of paranoid. I'm here by myself. I text Whit. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but she hasn't made a sound yet. So I turn on the monitor, the video. And I look, she's awake, just sitting there. This is like the thing that broke my heart. I walk up there and I look at her as anybody who has had who's a parent when their kids are young, hopefully. When you go in to get them out of their crib, they reach for you, right? They somehow respond. She just looked at me like, what are you doing here? What's your problem, bud? Mm-hmm. She didn't care to get picked up. She didn't care to get reached. And that was one thing throughout her entire placement was by the time she went home, it was a little softened, but she didn't really like to be held or cuddled or hugged.
Yeah, she wouldn't cry when she got hurt. It was the hardest thing to see because you want to love them and care for them and show them that affection. And we did show that affection, but it was a process for her to learn to receive it, even as a baby.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite the learning experience, just that first one. Looking back, she was actually a pretty easy placement. After kind of emotionally, it was hard because we were exposed to a lot of the ugly part of this world that you don't really know about unless you go get exposed to it and you actually invest your time and energy in the dark places of the world. And it was hard emotionally, but looking after all of the placements we've had, she was actually pretty easy.
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of eye-opening experiences.
Yeah, the emotional part of her was the hard part.
The emotional part of foster care, the emotional part of wanting to love her parents and not being able to for various reasons. The emotional part of thinking certain people are going to be in your corner and, from your tribe and finding out that, they're not for whatever reason.
I mean, and the opposite side of that coin is finding out
Other people
who
step up.
is just,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we had somebody we barely knew bring clothes by.
Yeah.
At least I barely knew. You might
Yeah.
have known better than me, but
Yeah, she went to Meijer and bought frozen meals, groceries, clothing for her, and just showed up that Friday evening with all the things we needed. So, I mean,
talk about dreaming small, right?
right?
Like that.
That's a huge blessing. Yeah. And I don't say that to, negate all the people who have been there and been in our corner, but just kind of one of the things that was also emotionally taxing was the feeling of isolation from people you didn't expect.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, overall, we've had a tremendous support group.
Absolutely.
I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do it without our people around us, but it's almost like people don't want to expose themselves to that.
Or they don't know what to do, which is why we're here.
Or they make it awkward, right? Yeah, like it's like Ricky Bobby. What do I do with my hands? They don't know how to respond to it, right? So yeah, that's a good point. That's kind of why we're doing this. Hey, it's okay. It's okay to feel weird. Like,
yeah,
we still feel weird. I think
we are weird.
Amen to that. So I mean, and so her number one, I call her our gateway yes. That was the moment of, is this a theory? Or are you actually going to walk in obedience to what God has called you? So, I mean, we could have made him, we have pack away hunger the next day, or we're going to clean the floorboards, or whatever excuses you would want to make, right? And sometimes I will share with you that there are absolutely things we have given up, not done because of our foster. And I would challenge that's what God would want us to do. Our lives are, as a Christian, our lives are called to be a living sacrifice. If you're not doing things that you have to sacrifice other parts of your life, I'd say you're probably doing it wrong. So this gateway yes is what opened us up into the world where we were able to say yes to other things, and which took us to a family of 2 to currently 6 kids. Like 7 years ago when we started this foster care journey, if you said, hey, Jason and Whitney, you guys are going to have 6 kids someday. And you're going to have more kids whose skin color is different than yours, I would have laughed at you. Like, I don't even know how that math works. Like, that doesn't make sense. But here we are.
Here we are. And
God,
it's been a journey.
It's been a fun journey.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. God has showed up in so many ways.
Yes.
And I'm excited for this podcast that we can give him the glory that he should get for it. Because,
I mean, without him, there's no way we would.
No.
Not even. Blah.
No.
So Whit was looking up stats today. How many days?
What did we land on?
It was like 2,300 days we've had foster kids since we started.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out how many days. So we were licensed in April of 18. So we were trying to figure out, and we very rarely have had days without foster children in our home since then. We listed out all the foster children and their timeline that they were here. And there was only 2 or 3 chunks of time when we didn't have a foster child, but there wasn't a lot. So what we came up with was that in the past 7 years, I don't know how many days that is offhand, but we've had 2,353 days with at least one foster child in our home.
It's a lot of days.
That's mind-boggling.
That's a lot of days. When you, like, Whitney shared on her Facebook the other week, the days are long, but the years are short. And I mean, that really, yes, I can't imagine. I can't believe that's been that mixed.
Yeah.
So a couple things just to leave everybody with, a couple Bible verses. I think we're ready to put a bow on this one. Is the Isaiah 6:8 verse we've all heard and said, where basically, here I am, send me. I can't imagine, looking back, obviously, it's easy. Can't imagine saying no to some of the kiddos we've gotten. And just, I'm also shocked that surprised at myself that I listened to God's call to say yes many times. We'll share some stories, but there's been a couple times when yes came out of our mouths that both shocked us.
And I want to say that, basically to piggyback off of what Jason just said, on my second trip to Rural King today, I had our 2 oldest with me, and we were actually talking. My son actually brought up, he said, Mommy, sometimes I wonder what our life and what our days would look like if we didn't foster. And I was like, you know what, bud? We do too. Mommy and Daddy talk about that a lot. But I said, you know what? You and your sister wouldn't be the amazing humans you are had you not grown up fostering other children. I don't know how you guys would be right now, how your lives would have turned out, what kind of personalities or beliefs you would have had we not fostered, because it has directly impacted them. They've also been sacrificing, right? So there's a lot of, and he agreed. He was like, yeah, I like that we foster. He's not saying he doesn't want to. It's human to wonder, like, wouldn't life be easier? Yes, it would. But would it be as worth it?
Yeah, would it be as worth it? It's always the good question. And I was going to say something smart and
Sorry.
clever, but it fell.
But Rural King.
But Rural King. Another verse I want to leave you with, is Esther 4:14. This is from the NIV. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. That was actually up on our wall for a time at the top of our stairs when we were first getting started, because we truly felt that we were created for a time at this.
And that goes back to dreaming small too. What were you created for in this very moment that you can do to bless someone else?
Yeah. The dream small thing, right? 6 kids now, 4 combo of adoptive and fostering. That didn't start with 4. It started with 1.
Mm-hmm.
It was looking back, it was a huge yes at the time to us. However, looking back, it feels like a very small yes. So I would challenge, look for your dream small moment in this upcoming week. Where can you serve? Where can you say yes that maybe you are feeling nudged to go, but scared to do it?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. We went 23 minutes. All right. Until next time, we're going to quit telling you guys what we think we want to talk about. That way we can kind of ad-lib a little bit more. So
we have a lot of different ideas going on. So
yeah. So thanks for listening.
Dream small.
Thanks so much for listening. We are so grateful for your support. If you enjoyed this episode, would you please take a moment to follow or subscribe to the podcast? And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, a quick rating or review goes a long way in helping others to find the show. If someone came to mind while you were listening, would you please consider sharing this episode with them? Thanks again, and remember, dream small.